All right, it's time for another video where I don't have my proper filming setup because I'm at my sister's for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, by the way. So pardon the eye in the face and the lack thereof. But it being Thanksgiving, it seemed like a very prime opportunity to tell us all about the mechanisms behind gratitude, because I love this thought and I haven't had a chance to share it for a while, and I thought that this was a prime opportunity. So let's go over that real quickly, and then I'm going to go eat ham with the family. I just wanted to get this one out, so here we go. I'm going to start with the most recent example of where I was able to employ gratitude, as it's called. I don't agree with that terminology because it seems really hard to impossible to want to be grateful for something that actually just sucks. And people's like, oh, well, be grateful for what you have. It could always be worse. Find the silver lining. And I hate all of those. Those all suck so bad. But we're going to talk through about the mechanisms of it because it is valuable, even if it doesn't work the way that I think a lot of people think that it works, at least not in the way that it works for me sometimes. So I've been doing visual novel work lately, doing editing, translation, editing for it. Volunteer position, but it's been a really fun learning opportunity. I've gotten a lot from it. It's been enjoyable. But my portion of the work was delayed for a long enough period of time, which I'm very personally upset with. Hands? And during my delay, there were other parts of the story that also needed editing work done on them that went to a different volunteer. And to me, that felt like I had lost the contract, and I was still doing, so there's night one, someone else did, I did night two, and then there's some sexy parts, and then I did the top sexy part, and then this other guy ended up doing the other two sexy sections because I was late on my end of the obligation, which stung so bad. Felt like I had lost the contract, like I wasn't good enough, felt like some sort of a confirmation that like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do well enough, and I had messed up again. And it's a very real, like, I told someone I would be there and then I wasn't, and then I was late, so then they had to go with someone else, and it was a huge problem for me. I'm still pretty salty about it because I just don't like being confronted with my own humanity, and I don't like being inadequate, and that just serves as a very prime example of a time that I just wasn't able to do the job that I thought that I could, and that was really hard to deal with. But I was right in the middle of performing that editing work when I found out, oh, and then there's actually extra work that someone else is doing, and it wasn't even said because I didn't get to it. That's just how I received that news. While I'm in the middle of trying to do the work, I started to get really salty about it, and that was untenable. I couldn't get the work done that I needed to because I was so emotionally fired up over how upset I was at my own inability to get it all done on time. So what is a Panther Boy to do when I'm too distressed to get the work done because of new news that had come to light about the work and like how I relate to it and all that, and I needed to get that emotional system out. I needed to change it somehow. Something had to change because I had work to do. I didn't have time to just be a sad little boy. I had to move on. I had to do more than that. Enter the mechanism of gratitude. Because what I did was sit within my panic, and this was about 3 days ago or so, like recent. I sat within my panic and examined the situation, blow it out of, like, the small scope is I feel like I did a really bad job. There's a lot of shame on, like, my end of things, but when you zoom it out, hands, really. But when you zoom it out and look at the piece of whole, like, the more whole picture of events, what it looks like now is I'm doing part of the work, and someone else is also doing part of the work. We share parts of night two, and then the sexy scenes also we share. I did part of it, someone else is doing part of it. That's a bummer in the very small mentality that I wasn't able to do all of the work. It felt like I had lost the contract, and it's not a paid thing. It's a volunteer position. I didn't lose anything. I just didn't get the additional work because I hadn't done the work that was given to me. Nothing bad has happened. Everything is stellar. I just didn't like some other guy muscling in on my territories again, how it felt like was going on. After examining the more fullness of the situation, though, I come to realize that there is now going to be an example of two different sects of work. That there's what Phineas Former did, the sexy route on where the top sexy option, and then there's also the outer and the bottom sexy options that someone else had their hands on. So while yes, it looks like I lost part of the contract and I was in deep emotional distress about that, it also provides a new opportunity for competition, basically, where sure, I wasn't able to do all of the work, but that means that my work is going to be directly juxtaposed to someone else's work. Viewing it from that lens, I then have an opportunity to outshine the other guy. I don't know if that's a good mentality to take or not, but that helped me tremendously get through that moment. I was deeply spiky because I had lost part of the contract and I was really down on myself. I blew out the circumstance to look at the more full picture of what's going on. Came to appreciate that I am now working in tandem with someone to complete the novel, that the section that I thought was just going to be me, but that does absolutely afford the real opportunity to outclass someone, to have my work compared to someone else. And there's something to be said for that. It's not what I had thought it was going to be initially. It's not something that I had expected, but there is something to be said for that opportunity for competition. It sounds trite, but if you can pull off this mechanism consistently, and it's very hard to do, you have to push out a lot of voices in order to pull it off, so it's a form of meditation, really. But I was able to come at the remainder of my work from a lens of competition and outclassing the other guy and wanting to do a really fantastic job for competition's sake, opposed to coming at it from a lens of absolute shame that, well, okay, I'll just do what I have to, and then I'm really sorry, I'll put that in, and then I'll just kind of like back off because I had so much shame energy. And the reframe I pulled into it, which people call gratitude, even though I don't like that language, that is the same mechanism that people talk about. I was able to reframe what was going on to find a angle of competition, which worked out really well for me. So I was able to at least get back to work and get through that challenging moment. And when anybody ever says, be grateful, or it could be worse, or look for the silver lining, or whatever, any of those bullshits, like no one ever actually tells you what that means, what that looks like, how to do it. That's how to do it. That's how it looks like. When you're in, usually it's in like a bad situation, I guess it doesn't have to be, but when you're in a bad situation, blow it out to examine the fullness of what's going on, find any angle which sucks less. I'm not asking for much. I'm not even talking gratitude over here. I'm not even saying, like, if you're in a really bad situation, then no amount of like, oh wow, but at least I have a perfect. It's like, no, sometimes things just suck. We're not looking for, try and ignore the fact that it sucks. Just anything that sucks a little bit less. Do that. Blow out the situation to find a more fullness of the picture, find any angle which sucks less, collapse back down that picture, and if you can adequately push away all of the other thoughts, which comes to a point of meditation a little bit, then you can be able to maintain that new, more favorable mentality in the dangerous or uncomfortable situation to help carry you through your actions. And it's one of the gymnastics that I get a lot of use out of, and I was able to get use out of it literally a few days ago, and that's the mechanism behind gratitude, and I just don't understand it that way, which is why I keep trying to do air quotes, but I don't have my hand tracking on, so my fingers aren't working. But that is the mechanism of gratitude, how it works. And today is Thanksgiving for the Americans among us, so happy Thanksgiving to the Americans among us, and to everyone else, happy Thanksgiving if you want, or happy Thursday. Happy Thursday is also valid. So I'm going to edit this really quickly, and then I'm going to go eat food with the family and watch movies. So they're going to do that thing. But happy Thanksgiving. You have one of my thoughts now. You have my gratitude thought. And there's other ways it expands, and you can go from there. But it's time for me to go and spend time with the family now. So happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you guys later.